Now we will start with another chapter, that is understanding Docker. These are the objectives. In the previous chapter, we have learned that containerization technology helps software run easily, freely and independently. But now we will learn how to put software in containers and how to run those containers and the technology behind that, that is Docker. So let's understand what the Docker is. You can think a Docker is like a magic suitcase for a software. It wraps all the stuff your program needs to run smoothly. So you can carry it around and use it anywhere without worrying about the compatibility issues. It's like having a portable home for your applications, right? Think of a Docker as a big ship docked at a port. The ship carries containers filled with the cargo, and these containers can be easily loaded onto the ship, transported to different ports and unloaded without disturbing the contents. Just like how ships handle various containers efficiently at ports, Docker manages software containers on computer system. You can think like this, right? So Docker is a platform for developers to develop, ship and run application by using containers. So this means Docker provides a convenient environment and convenient way for developers to create, distribute and operate their software. It uses containers, which are like virtual compartments that hold everything an application needs to run, such as code, libraries and dependencies. So Docker helps the user to quickly assemble application from its components and eliminates the friction during this code shipping. What it means? This means the Docker allows developers to piece together their application from different parts easily. Like Docker removes the obstacles that often arises when moving code from one place to another. This eliminates the it works on my machine problem, as container encapsulate everything needed to run the application, right? Also, Docker aids the user to test and deploy the code into production. And how? It means Docker provides tools and capabilities to help developers test their applications and then deploy them for actual use by the customers or users. It ensures that the software works correctly in real-world scenarios and can be reliably put into action. So now let's discuss history and evolution of Docker. In the early development stage, Docker originated with .Cloud Incorporation, which is a platform as a service company by Solomon Hykes and his team in France. Initially, Hykes worked on a project called .Cloud Platform as a Service in the year 2010, which laid the groundwork for the Docker's development, right? And in Docker was publicly introduced in March 2013 as an open source project by Docker Incorporation. It brought a groundbreaking approach to containerization and simplifying the process and making it more efficient and portable. That's how the birth of Docker took place. So significant releases include Docker 0.9 in March 2014, which introduced enhancements like kernel namespaces for better container isolation, and Docker 1.0 released in 2014 marked the project's stability and readiness for production use, right? And also Docker quickly gained popularity due to its ease of use, portability and even you can say scalability. And this popularity led to a vibrant ecosystem of tools, libraries and frameworks built around the Docker, making it go-to solution for developers and organizations across various industries. Right? So, how the transition took place? Transition to Docker Incorporation. In 2013, .Cloud Incorporation changed its names to Docker Incorporation, signaling its commitment to the Docker project. Initially, Docker Incorporation focused on commercializing Docker through enterprise products and services. Right? and then expansion beyond Docker Engine took place. Docker Compose and Docker Swarm are the two concepts that came into existence in that era. And then Docker Incorporation played a key role in founding the OCI, that is Open Container Initiative, in 2015, which aimed to standardize the container formats and runtime specification. Right? And then Docker CE and Docker EE, that is Community Edition and Enterprise Edition, came into existence. And then Docker Incorporation underwent leadership challenges, including CEO transitions, as it addressed challenges related to monetization and friendly for developers for all skill levels. And that's how the Docker evolved and day by day, right? Now, let's discuss Docker containerization. We have earlier discussed this concept in previous chapter, like what is Docker containerization and all. So Docker is like a box of your software. It wraps up your entire application and everything it needs to work neatly inside what we call containers. Right? These containers, you can say, are like a little packages that ensure applications run smoothly no matter where you put it, whether you are building it, testing it, or using it in the real world. Right? Here you can see when it's time to release your application into the world, Docker steps in. It provides a safe environment for your containers to run smoothly, ensuring everything works as expected in the deployment stage. Right? Let's discuss the working of the Docker now. Although we have discussed in the previous chapter briefly, let's discuss this component by component here. So Docker works by utilizing three main components, that is host operating system, Docker engine, and containers. So what is the host operating system? It's a foundational operating system on which Docker is installed, providing resources for running Docker engine and containers, right? And what the Docker engine is? This is the core of Docker, managing Docker, that helps in managing Dockers. It includes the Docker daemon running in the background, and the Docker client provides a CLI, that is command line interface, for user interaction. And what are the containers here? These are the lightweight isolated runtime environments, that is having application and dependencies. Each container runs its own set of libraries and application based on the Docker images. So containers share the host kernel but have a separate file system, network stacks, and process spaces to ensure isolation, right? Now let's discuss the problem before the Docker arrived. Before Docker, developers and operations teams struggled with inconsistencies, resource wastage, slow deployment cycles, scaling challenges, and even limited portability in software development and deployment. So these challenges hindered productivity, agility, and the ability to innovate rapidly in the fast-paced world of software development. So what the inconsistency across environment means? So application often worked on developers' machine but failed in production due to differences in operating systems, libraries, and or configurations. That is what the problem is. So maintaining consistency across development, testing, and production environment was challenging and prone to errors at that time. And if we talk about the second problem, that is resource wastage. So what it means, traditional virtualization solutions such as hypervisor based virtual machines consumed significant resources per VM. That is, they consumed significant resources per virtual machine, and this led to hardware underutilization, and it also increased the cost for provisioning and maintaining infrastructure, and inefficient resource allocation was there. And what is the slow deployment cycle? Manual deployment processes were slow and cumbersome, involving multiple steps for configuring, testing, and deploying applications. So updates and feature releases took longer to roll out, hindering rapid feature delivery and responsiveness to customer needs before the arrival of Docker. And what were the scaling challenges? At that time, horizontal scaling for handling increased traffic required complex and manual interventions such as provisioning new virtual machines and configuring load balancers. Right? So, scaling infrastructure to meet changing demands often resulted in downtime, performance issues, and also they have operational overhead. And if we talk about the last problem, that is limited portability, what it means at that time, moving application between different environments or infrastructures, such as from development to production or on premises to the cloud, often resulted in compatibility issue and deployment delays. So each environment had its own set of dependencies and configurations, making it difficult to ensure consistent behavior across environments. Now we will discuss some Docker terminologies one by one. So first is Docker engine. So Docker engine, you can say, is the layer on which Docker runs. It's a lightweight runtimes and tooling that manages containers, images, and builds and more. So it runs natively on a Linux system and is made up of a Docker daemon that runs in the host computer and a Docker client that communicates with the Docker daemon to execute commands. Right? Next is Docker client. What the Docker client is? Basically, Docker client is what you as an end user of a Docker communicate with. Think of it as the UI for the Docker, right? And what the Docker daemon is? Docker daemon is what actually executes commands sent to the Docker client, like building, running, and distributing your Docker containers. So Docker daemon run on the host machine, but as a user, you never communicate directly with the daemon. Next is Dockerfile. So what the Dockerfile is? Dockerfile is where you write the instructions to build a Docker image. Right? So what the Docker image is? Images are the read-only templates that you build from a set of instructions written in your Docker file. So you can say it's a blueprints of your application. Image define both what you want your packaged application and its dependencies to look like and what processes to run when it is launched. And what are the Docker containers here? A Docker container, as discussed, wraps an application software into an invisible box with everything that application needs to run. So that includes the operating system, application code, runtime, system tools, system libraries, and many more. Next is, what is Docker Hub? Docker Hub is a website where you can find and share ready-to-use containers for your application. It's like you can say it's like a library for Docker images accessible from anywhere with an internet connection. So Docker Hub is a cloud-based service where user can store and share Docker container images. Here you can see there's a Docker file which contains the instructions, and the Docker file builds an Docker image, and then Docker image helps in running the Docker container itself. So the container runs on the Docker images. The next term is volumes. So you can say volumes are the data part of your container. Data volume exists as a specially designed directories and files on the host file system. It is initialized when a container is created. It remains, untouched even if you destroy, update, or rebuild your container. When you want to update a volume, you make changes to it directly. Remember, data volumes can be shared and reused among multiple containers. So if you have a database or a stateful application, we would like to use data volumes, right? So container has virtual file systems and host has physical file systems. Using volumes, we plug the physical file system path into a container's virtual system path. So Docker, like virtual machine, is all about virtualization, or we can say isolation. So volumes allow you to virtualize storage space for containers, and by virtualizing volume, you are making volume portable. Portable means it can be transferable, it can be backed up, it can be restored, even it can be duplicated. So in simple terms, a folder or a directory in a physical system is mounted into the virtual file system of container. Right? Now we will discuss why we use Docker. Right? So for consistent and isolated environment, we use Docker. What it means? The very first advantage of Docker is that it provides you with a consistent isolated environment. It takes the responsibility of isolating and segregating your applications and resources in such a way that each container becomes able to access all the required resources in isolated manner. That is, without disturbing or depending on another container. It eventually allows you to run multiple containers simultaneously on the same host. Moreover, we can say as each container is only allowed to access the assigned resources, it helps in reducing the risk of several potential issues such as downtime, etc. So also you can easily remove any application by deleting its container, and it will not leave behind any temporary files on your system. So in simple words, what the consistent environment here means is that the Docker image created by you during any development stage will work similarly in other SDLC, or you can say software development lifecycle phases also, such as testing, production, etc. It behaves like a consistent manner. Also, we use Docker for the rapid application deployment, and what it means, it efficiently organizes the entire development life cycle by providing a standardized working environment to the users. You need to know that Docker creates a container for every individual process, and subsequently the Docker apps do not boot into an operating system. That saves a lot of time, right? So the Docker containers comes up with a minimal runtime environments or requirements of the application that in turn allows them to deploy faster. Here you are not required to set up a new environment. All you need to do is to download the Docker image to run it on a different environments. And let me tell you here that these images are quite smaller in size, that further prompts rapid application deployment. So Docker is very preferable for continuous integration and continuous delivery workflows. And also we use Docker for scalability and flexibility. So Docker leverages you with the utmost level of scalability and flexibility. Due to the consistent environment, the Docker images can be easily sorted across multiple servers. For example, if you are required to do an upgrade during the release of an application, you can conveniently do the changes in Docker and can test them and roll out new containers. Other than that, you can efficiently clean up or repair the application without completely taking it down. Right? It has the ability to be deployed in multiple physical servers, data servers, or cloud platforms. Also, Docker allows you to rapidly create replications for redundancy reasons, and it makes you enable to start and terminate the application services promptly to make things much easier. Like it also ensures and also gives you the better portability. So, and this is you can say another enriching advantage of Docker, which is portability. The application created with Docker containers are immensely portable. The Docker containers can run on any platform, whether it be Amazon EC2, it can be a Google Cloud platform, it can be a virtual box, it can be a Rackspace server, or any other. Though the host operating system should support Docker, as the application and all its dependencies are packaged together in a Docker container, you can deploy it into any system that supports Docker, and the application will perform similarly. For example, The Docker containers can swiftly move from the cloud environment to the local host and vice versa. It subsequently released in various benefits. It provides you various benefits such as no wastage of time and resources in setting up the environments, and the debugging issues in environments can be avoided, and it also really helps the developers to make the development process more responsive and agile, right? So the next point is why we use Docker is due to its cost effectiveness. It is needless to say that every technical organization wants to opt for such development and deployment practices or resources that can help them to reduce overall cost without compromising with the standard workflow or product quality, right? And Docker can help them to achieve this feat. With Docker, developers can run multiple containers on a single server that results in efficient use of resources. Meanwhile, Docker subsequently requires a smaller team of professionals compared to the traditional workflow that also leads to minimized workforce cost of the organization. So the next is inbuilt version control systems. So going down with the list, let me tell you another prominent advantage of Docker. It comes up with an inbuilt version control systems. So the Docker containers allow you to commit changes to the Docker images and version control them conveniently. For example, if you are having some issues with the current or upgraded version of the image, you can quickly roll back to the previous stable version of the Docker image. Docker enables you to easily track successive version of a container and inspect the differences before rolling back to the previous versions. So in addition, the containers can maintain all configurations and dependencies internally, and the components from the previous layers can be reused by the containers for better efficiency, right? So the next is we use Docker for security purpose as well. So from a journal outlook, an application in a container can be considered as more secure by default compared to the case with bare metal. As Docker takes the responsibility of complete isolation and segregation of application running within the Docker containers with each other, the developers have complete control over the traffic course. A particular container cannot access the data of another container without having authorized access. Other than that, each container is assigned a particular set of resources for itself. However, you need to remember you can't be solely dependent on Docker container for taking all the appropriate security measures on itself. Instead, you will be required to consider other security areas as well for the overall security, right? So now let's discuss when we use Docker. We use Docker for fast, consistent delivery of your applications. Let's consider a scenario here. Your developer write code locally and share their work with their colleagues using Docker containers. So for testing, they use Docker to push their applications into the test environment and run automated and manual tests. And when developer finds the bug, they can fix them in a development environment and redeploy them to the test environment for testing and validations. So when testing is complete, getting the fix to the container is as simple as pushing updated image to the production environment, and that's how you can make the fast, consistent delivery of your applications, right? Next is responsive deployment scaling. We also use Docker when we want a responsive deployment scaling. How? Like Docker's container-based platform allows for highly portable workloads. Docker containers can run on developers' local laptop, on physical or virtual machine in data center, or it can be run on a cloud providers or in a mixture of environments. So Docker's portability and lightweight nature also make it easy to dynamically manage workloads, scaling up or tearing down the application and services as business needs dictate in a real time. So in that case, we also use Docker. We also use Docker for running more workloads on the same hardware. I would say Docker is lightweight and fast. It provides a cost-effective alternative to hypervisor-based virtual machines. So you can use more of your server capacity to achieve your business goals. So we can say Docker is perfect for high-density environments and for small and medium deployments where you need to do more with the fewer resources. Okay, let's now discuss a case study related to the adoption of Docker by Netflix. Here we will discuss some challenges that Netflix had faced. Netflix encountered significant difficulties in managing its extensive and dynamic infrastructure to deliver streaming services to a vast audience worldwide. The primary challenges included complexity of infrastructure. With millions of subscribers accessing the content from diverse locations and devices, Netflix infrastructure became incredibly complex. So managing this complexity posed a significant challenge, especially with the diverse range of application and microservices running across different environments. So the next challenge was the scalability. As Netflix subscriber base continued to grow rapidly, ensuring that its infrastructure could scale to handle increasing demand became a pressing concern. Traditional methods of scaling infrastructure were often cumbersome and inefficient, leading to potential performance issues during peak usage periods. That was the challenge that Netflix was facing, that is scalability challenge. Next challenge that Netflix was facing was reliability. With such a higher volume of users relying on Netflix for uninterrupted streaming, maintaining reliability was paramount. Any downtime or performance degradation could lead to a poor user experience and potentially drive subscribers away. That was also a challenge. And next was the cost effectiveness. So managing a vast infrastructure incurs high cost, both in terms of hardware resources and operational expenses. So Netflix needed to find ways to optimize cost without compromising the quality of its services or sacrificing reliability. So Netflix addressed its infrastructure challenges by adopting Docker for containerization. This enabled them to streamline development, scale services dynamically, enhance reliability, and optimize cost that ensures high quality streaming for millions of subscribers. So let's just recapitulate what we have done in this chapter. So Docker is a powerful software designed for efficient application development, testing, and deployment. It utilizes a client-server architecture where the Docker daemon manages services by communicating with other daemons. Additionally, Docker images, which contains all the necessary components of an application, are stored in the Docker registry, or we can also call it as a Docker hub. So this setup enables developers to build, test, and deploy application rapidly and consistently, making Docker a valuable tool for modern software development workflows. Let's discuss a quiz here. What is Docker primarily used for? There are 4 options. First is creating virtual machines, packaging and deploying applications, managing network infrastructure, and monitoring server performance. Alright, the answer is B, packaging and deploying applications. Next is, which component of Docker architecture is responsible for managing Docker objects such as images, containers, networks, and volumes? The options are Docker Engine, Docker Client, Docker Registry, Docker Daemon. The correct answer is Docker Daemon. Next is, how do Docker containers differ from virtual machines? Docker containers are larger in size as compared to VMs, or Docker containers require a separate operating system kernel, or Docker containers shares the host operating system kernel, or Docker containers boot their own operating system independently. So the right answer is Docker containers shares the host operating system kernel. That is answer C. Here is the next question. What is the purpose of Docker images? To provide a runtime environment for applications, to create virtual machines, to package application code and dependencies, or to manage networking configurations. So the correct option is option C, to package application code and dependencies. Next question is, what does Docker provide to streamline the development lifecycle? First is hypervisor based virtual machines, standardized environment using local containers, physical servers in data centers, and manual deployment processes. So the correct answer is answer B, that is option B, standardized environments using local containers. So the next question is, which aspect of Docker makes it suitable for dynamic workload management and rapid scaling? That is heavyweight virtualization, static deployment environments, container-based platform, or manual configuration processes. Alright, the correct option is option C, that is container-based platform. Alright, here we come at the end of this chapter.